It's from the Chicago Bears podcast. Pat, the designer, and Pat, welcome. And I got a question for you. You mentioned on the air that so far Jordan Love has been everything you've wanted Jordan Love to be, which is a guy that you can't really move on from, but you're probably paying too much money for, and you're kind of in this weird quarterback hell of like good but not great quarterback play. How do you feeling about Jordan Love so far this year? Because I'm still feeling pretty good about where the Packers are at with Jordan Love.
I'll answer that with this. How many calls do you get on both sides of that argument every week?
Oh yes, calls all the time.
I would assume that there's a lot of people in Green Bay right now, in Wisconsin as a whole, who some people look at it and they look at Jordan Love's Toyotathon numbers and say you can't move on from this guy ever. And then there's people who are on the other side and look at the rest of the numbers and say, but this is why you need to move on from him. You're spending too much money. It makes me as a Bears fan very happy, but that doesn't mean that Jordan Love isn't the quarterback that you don't have to worry about going into this game. But I am in a good place.
Okay, so conversely, Caleb Williams, how are you feeling about him now? Second year, first year under Ben Johnson. Like, how are you feeling there?
To me, Caleb is probably not where Ben and him want him to be just yet, but you can tell that he's moving in the right direction. I thought that Ben's comments about where Caleb is at, especially with how he's managing the games, and a lot of people hear that and go, oh, God, he's calling Caleb Williams a game manager. No, that was a crazy game in Philly where I don't know if you guys saw the wind. At one point, Jalen Hurts throws the football away, the wind catches it, and the football just falls back down to the earth. It was a very tough game to throw in, and it's a game that Caleb still threw the football 36 times. And he said, look, there's some games you can't look at the percentages and say that's who he is. Is it the passing game where we want it to be right now? No, but is Caleb Williams continuing to progress in the manner that we are pleased with in the building? Yes, and I think that that's kind of where a lot of Bears fans are. There's some Bears fans that look at it and say he's never going to develop into the quarterback that we drafted. And I don't know. Is he generational? We'll find out when we get to the point where, hopefully he's winning multiple Super Bowls, and then we have a different conversation there. But right now, he's doing what Ben Johnson needs him to do to run this offense efficiently and to be able to get wins. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks start their careers that way and finish in very different places, and I think that's the trajectory that you could say Caleb Williams is on right now. And that does excite me because, Jim, we haven't seen quarterbacks. we don't do quarterbacks in Chicago.
I'm an expert in bad quarterback play. Like, I know what a bad quarterback
I can tell you about quite a few bad quarterbacks. What do you want to know about Vince Evans?
Well, hi, Pat.
It's one of those things to me. My fault. It's one of those things to me where you're seeing something in Chicago you've never seen before, and there's a lot of Bears fans excited by that.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. Hello, Pat. I am Matt. I'm
Matt Hamilton,
How are you?
Olympic
Weren't you
gold
on
medalist.
the show when he?
He was not,
Oh,
yeah.
No, I don't think he was.
Hamilton, yeah.
all right.
Matt
Yeah.
makes me tell everyone that, Pat. Matt won a gold medal, so you have to give him a little love for that.
Well done.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Your obligation in the contract has been met, so next time we meet someone new when I'm here, thank you for continuing to do that. So we kind of talked about this last week, that we feel like the rivalry is back. As a Bear fan, was it ever gone? And what do you think about like Packers-Bears now?
Listen, I think it's very tough to am I going to say the rivalry was ever gone between the fans? No. I think that, as much as Packer fans want to say, we don't ever think about you. Anytime the Bears got close to winning a game, right? You could feel it clutching the pearls a little bit. I think for Bears fans, you guys are always right now, the standard that we're trying to meet from where we've been in our history and the standard that we're trying to beat. And it does feel like you have a good chance at that right now. The Packers have been as much as we dislike them in Chicago, they have been an organization that has been embodied what the NFL represents for years. And so now it feels like the Bears are starting to catch back up to that, being the charter franchise, one of the original franchises to ever do it. And not only that, but it feels like you have the tools to actually be able to go to war with that as well. Now bringing back Ben Johnson, who walked in the door. I don't remember what it was like up in Madison at that time. But Ben Johnson got hired for like 11 minutes and was like, I enjoy beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. It was like, whoa, we're throwing shots out here, big dag. It was shocking. It was shocking. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like the one thing that I will say about this rivalry that it feels like Chicago has this year, in the past, we haven't had head coaches who understood what the rivalry meant and was the way that Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers have over their history. Lovie Smith is probably the last guy who was in the building who was serious about what this rivalry meant to Chicago. And I think now you have a head coach who walked in the door. He saw what this rivalry meant. He knew what the NFC North was and how much that meant to the city of Chicago. And so was it a little bit of pander? Possibly. But that meant a lot to the city. The fact that he was acknowledging what our previous two coaches didn't. When we would go into game weeks, they would literally just go, hey, you got to keep your head down, nose to the millstone, and it's another game. You got to treat it like it's just another game. Ben Johnson understands it's not just another game. And I think Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love have understood that it's not just another game. And when you go into a divisional game, a rivalry game, and one side basically goes, we're just going to play the same level. We played that all season. And the other plays twice as hard. I think that's where you see the difference in where, listen, for our side of it, if we want to call it a rivalry, I think it's still there. But it's been a lot of hammer and nail over the last 25 plus years.
Well, see, that's where my confidence is kind of shrinking, I guess, because we even heard Matt LaFleur, and Ryan has the audio here, but basically saying that the rivalry is solely for the fans is like what I took out of it. Ryan, you want to play it?
Absolutely. I think anytime you're talking about a divisional game, there's a big emphasis with us.
He is not a wordsmith.
No.
And I think our players believe it. I mean, I think we all believe it, how important these games are. And then you're talking about we're getting towards the end here, so to speak, and I think every game's a little bit more magnified.
Okay, well, that's not what I was thinking.
Yeah,
there was one from
yesterday
yesterday that Ryan juked me on, but he basically was just like, yeah, the rivalry is really nice for fans, but like players and coaches.
Hold on, I got it for you now. This is Matt LaFleur talking about the rivalry this year with both teams being so good.
To be honest with you, I don't really put too much thought into that. Like, I think that, I think it's a cool for the fans, and certainly when you have two good teams, and obviously Chicago's the number one team in the NFC right now. So
God, is LaFleur boring.
It should be a great game.
So I don't love the answer that he gave about the rivalry game. I don't think that he's embodying exactly what you were saying that Ben Johnson is, but I guess I'm just looking at like the Bears in this season, right? Like they're currently number one in the NFC, but their playoff chances are at 76%, which is shocking to me that it's that low. Like heading into the rest of the season, I mean, they have a pretty difficult schedule coming up here. Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling confidence-wise heading into the final, 5 games of the season? Like, where are you at?
Listen, I think that the Bears, because of the changes that the Bears have made, when you look at what Ben Johnson has brought to this franchise, you never feel like you're not in the game. And the one thing that we can say for Caleb Williams that is a massive confidence booster at this point is the fact that if we get into clutch situations, that's where Caleb Williams shows up the most and has time and time again this season. That's where this defense, while maybe they do give up a ton of yards and have given up yards throughout the game, but if it's a close game, you've seen they're going to be able to go out there and get that much needed turnover. And so I think the culture that Ben Johnson has brought to the building makes me feel like going into this game versus the Packers, the Browns, Packers again, we got San Francisco, and then we finish it out with Detroit. I don't think we're ever going to see, at least this season, I mean, at some point everybody gets blown out, but I don't think we're ever going to see this world where you feel like Ben Johnson has no idea what he's doing and you're not going to be prepared for the game, where we've seen that time and time again. I mean, how many times did we see it in this rivalry with the last few coaches that have been here? And so for me, when I look at what Ben Johnson has brought to the building, I have a lot of confidence going the rest of the way because of what he has currently developed here. I mean, there are players on this team right now that we looked at last year and we were like, I don't really know if he's a part of the future of what the Chicago Bears are trying to build here. And now you're seeing guys like Darnell Wright go out there and be one of the best right tackles in football. You've got an interior offensive line that I think is the best in football. We spent, as Bears fans, right, we spent a ton of this season talking about Ozzie Trapillo. Why isn't he getting in the game? What's going on there? The development that you've seen from him when he finally did get in the game. Now all of a sudden it looks like this kid is a real piece that you can have moving forward. Resurging DeAndre Swift and turning him into one of the best running backs in football right now. Like those are the things to me that you go into every single week and say, Ben is going to have a plan to accentuate what these guys do well and put them in a position to be able to lay that plan out and actually execute it in a way. I haven't felt that way probably. It's been a while. Let's not say probably Lovey. I would say probably Lovey is the last time that we felt that way. And there were times even then where it felt like you were hitting your head against the wall at times, right? When you're trying to run into the front that Minnesota had back in the day, and you're like, well, no one runs on them, so maybe we shouldn't run the football this week. Oh, but we can't pass. I don't think that we're living in that world anymore, so it does give me a lot more confidence going into these final 5 games.
So it's the exact opposite feeling of Eberflus when he was here, that the Bears had a team that was talented that underperformed year in and year out. So you can look at this team and say, yeah, they won 5 games last year. 9 seems like a massive jump, but you could say if they had a remotely competent or even average coach, they would have been closer to 7, 8 wins over the last few years, averaging it out. With this Bear team, because, and I don't blame Packer fans, not everyone has the joy of watching every Packer game and every Bear game like I do. Can you give Packer fans a kind of synopsis of the identity of the Chicago Bears? And I know you gave some good insight there under Ben Johnson, because that's the biggest thing that's changed. Because weirdly, Caleb right now is still in developmental stage. He doesn't matter that much, and that speaks to the mentality and what Ben Johnson's brought to the team.
Yeah, listen, you've got a run-first team right now offensively who's running the football well. Yet the Bears are second in rush yards per game right now. They're first in rush first downs per game right now. They're second in rushing first down percentage, and they're first over the last 3 games in that stat. So, like, you can tell that the identity of this team has become a running football team. And I think, it speaks to, credit to this coaching staff that they have in place. Ben Johnson went into the bye week where this Bears team wasn't running the football very well and said, we are going to fix the run game and we are going to figure out all of these pre-snap penalties. I don't know if I've ever seen a head coach say that. And we come out on the other side. Since the bye week, the Chicago Bears are averaging 180 rush yards per game. The identity is run the football right now, and you've got an offensive line that loves. Jonah Jackson said this in one of the Good, Better, Best that came out when the offensive line got the entire game ball. The entire offensive line got the game ball. It was put the game in our hands, put this on our shoulders, and we'll go out there and try to succeed, or we'll go out there and do what we need to do to succeed here. And you can just have. We'll figure it out, right? But if you put it on our backs, we'll be great. And that has just proven true pretty much since that bye week. You've seen this offensive line start to figure it out, and you've seen this team as a whole. I don't know if I've seen a team in a long time embody next man up in the way the Chicago Bears have. This culture, this mindset, how they prepared these players this year. When you look at guys like DeMarco Jackson stepping in and leading this defense in tackles when you lost every single linebacker just about that was in the building. Like, it truly is a mindset of it with Dennis Allen. We can do anything. We can find a way to go out there and get anything done. And I think that's just what this team has embodied the entire time. If they play together, Al Harris said this to me when we were in the building, and I asked him about, how are you going to deal with, at that time they were missing Jalen Johnson. And his answer was, if you play the system the right way, you will be in a position to succeed. And that is panned out tremendously here this season.
So Molly, scoffed at the Good, Better, Best. Matt's pretending that this game, like, if they lose this game, they won't hurt as much as losing to Cleveland because somehow Chicago beat better.
You're misinterpreting what he said.
Then you have Packer fans be like, this is the Bears Super Bowl. Like, this means so much more to them than to us. Like, Pat, to me, it tells me that they're scared. And I like it because now all of a sudden it's sort of this scoff like, oh, whatever, Caleb won because Jordan Love got hurt halfway through the game. It's all excuses. It's all I don't like this, I don't like that. Pat, we're in their head.
Listen, I think that there is a part of it where if you want to get chesty for a minute, right, little brother's rising up. Yes. Little brother then grew a couple of inches over the summer, and his fist got a little bit bigger, and he can punch back now. And now it's like, you still can't beat me up until you get that one punch to the gut, and you're like, hold on now. Now, Here's the biggest thing, though. You got to go in there. You talked a lot of trash to start the season off. Got hired, you talked a little bit, right? Caleb Williams, everybody knows. And by the way, when you played the LaFleur thing, Ben Johnson essentially did the same thing. Yeah. They started the season. Ben was like, I like beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. And then he sung the praises of what the Green Bay Packers team is. He said this is going to be one of the toughest defenses that they face. They know what this rivalry is. And to me, I don't know if it's a scared thing for the players on the field, but I do think there are some of the Green Bay fans who this hasn't been a rivalry for most of their lives, and so I get why they're scoffing at it. But it may be back, and it may be back in a major way. And I love the fact that I don't know, you guys can update me on this. I know there's the whole president changing because of the age thing that's coming here. Is this a chance where if the Bears start to rise up, the LaFleur isn't doing enough chants get a little bit too loud in that building?
Well, I feel like those chants definitely have happened this season already, right? Like everybody was kind of calling, well, not everybody, but a lot of people were calling for his job because it felt like the play calling was getting pretty stale and you lost to teams that you shouldn't have lost to. So I think it'll be ignited a little bit. I think it just depends on how, if the Packers lose, how do they lose? Do they get annihilated by the Bears? Because then that's a different conversation. Now, if it's very neck and neck and they just barely lose to the Bears, then I don't know how much of a conversation there is there. But also, I think just going back to what Jim said about Matt's take earlier this week, like, tell me how you feel about this, Pat. But like Matt and I were kind of like, if the Packers lose to the Bears, it's going to stink, of course. Like, we don't want our team to lose to the Bears, of course.
Mostly because we have to work with Jim.
Exactly. But the other part of it is that losing to the Browns earlier this season, losing to the Panthers earlier this season, losing or tying, which essentially a loss in my mind, to the Dallas Cowboys, those shouldn't have been teams that they lost to or tied to. Like, they should have beat them. Now, if you lose to the Bears, you're losing to a team that is good. They have, won every game in November. They've won, 8 of the last 9 games or something. Like, they're a good team, and they are on the up and up. So, like, while it's going to feel crummy if they lose to them because it's a rivalry game, it doesn't feel as, right now I'm saying this, pre-game, it doesn't feel as crummy as losing to teams that you should not have lost to, that you should have been able to bolster your schedule with.
I would say right now I understand that feeling. If the Bears do find a way to win, you start to look at all the scenarios that could have played out, right? And don't let the Rams actually go out there and lose, because now it's not only could you have been first place in the NFC North, you could have been first place in the NFC overall, and possibly, I don't know if the Packers have won enough games. I'd have to double check that. If the Packers have won enough games to own the tiebreaker, but the situation that the Bears are in right now, they've won enough games in the NFC where if they hold on to this game, they own the tiebreaker because the Rams have lost more NFC matchups than the Bears have. So I think what happens is you start to have the conversation post-game. If this happens, I don't know. I think this is going to be a very competitive game, and it's going to come down to the final 2 minutes. It's a divisional game. We know how these two teams play. I get what LaFleur and Ben are doing when they go out there and praise each other and say, oh, everybody's winning. I think there's a little bit more animosity going into this. But I think you start to look at, with all of those losses that we did have, we still could have been in first place. We still could have been first in the NFC. And that Bears loss feels more like a double loss after, if it does happen. Now, again, there's a lot that still has to happen for the Bears to win this game. And I guarantee you Ben Johnson is not sleeping on it. But I think that it would sting a little bit more when people actually start to digest some of the things that are happening. And on top of that, again, like I'm sure Jim has said this a ton on the show, the Bears aren't where they want to be yet. They don't have all the pieces yet. So this would be a signal of not only are we taking control of the NFC North, we're taking control of the NFC overall. We're still trying to figure some stuff out. We don't have TJ Edwards back. Maybe he comes back this week. We don't have Tremaine Edmonds. We haven't had a pass rush all season. That's going to have to be addressed in the offseason. Like, this is still not a complete team. And if you start to look at it as one of the other NFC teams and you look up and the Bears are now strongly in place in the NFC North and they're not done getting better yet, I think that some of those fears do become realities in that situation.
Okay, Pat, you said that you're not done getting better yet, which to me means there are some flaws. If you were on the Packers coaching staff right now, what's the Achilles heel? What would you probe on the Bears team to try and get the best out of the Packers?
if I'm on that Packers coaching staff, I'm looking at how the Bears have been against the run, and I'm using that run game to my advantage. The Bears have been better against the run over the last couple of weeks. I mean, some Bears fans want to beat their chest on stopping Saquon Barkley, which, listen, Saquon Barkley is a phenomenal talent. He hasn't been the same this year. There's a lot of teams that have stopped Saquon Barkley. But the one thing, if I'm Jordan Love and this Packers organization, you got to attack where the Bears are weakest right now, and that's defensive line, and it still should be linebackers. The Bears have been able to kind of stay that over the last couple of weeks. They slowed down Philly when they attacked, right? A.J. Brown and him couldn't get on the same page over the middle a couple of times. But that, to me, are the two weaknesses of this Bears defense. And on the defensive side, I mean, this Bears team, they still lack a lot to be desired when it comes to dominant. Now, where you don't want to get in this situation, if you're the Packers, I say we have to find a way to make this game a 10-plus point game very early on, because if it's a close game, like I said earlier, this Bears defense has been very opportunistic, and you have a quarterback right now in Jordan Love who, yes, the turnover numbers are always low every single year, but you guys would agree with this. When he does turn that football over, it feels like it's the back-breaking point in the game. You got to avoid that situation, especially because if you're looking at what Caleb Williams has done this season, he has been the most clutch quarterback in football since he's been drafted, and that's surprising to say. And think about how many games Matt Eberflus took out of his hands. So you don't want to be in a close game situation here. Because you've got a quarterback that can get the job done in those moments, and you've got a defense that has been incredibly opportunistic in those moments.
How about a 58% completion percentage, huh? No? Nobody wants to talk about that?
I mean, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. There's a long way to go, but I'll tell you this right now. There's a lot of teams that look at Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter and go, who the heck is that guy? He hasn't been here the first three.
To me, from being an outsider, like the biggest difference in the games that I've been able to watch for the Chicago Bears is they're winning the games that they lost last year. Like that is the biggest thing to me.
Yeah.
So,
and I would agree with you. But remember, one of the games that we lost last year based on a coaching decision where it was like, are you sure you want to kick this ball in this moment right now? Was that Green Bay Packer game where the one division win that the Packers got last year was off of that blocked kick. That one sucked.
Yep. Yes, I was there for that one. That was not enjoyable. I did not like that.
One sucked.
But the end of the year did add to it. And I do think, and we'll let you go on this one, obviously, on the record side of things, and I know that the coaching staff wasn't there last year, but I think for some of these players, actually beating Green Bay in Green Bay mattered from a mentality side of things of, wait, they are beatable. They are fallible. Yeah. We can go to Green Bay and beat them. And I think going into the offseason with that was big, but now even for this game, Caleb has actual success there, including a game-winning drive there in Green Bay. How much do you think that matters for these players coming into Green Bay, being a little bit less afraid of playing the Packers?
Listen, I think there's a confidence there. Jalen Johnson talked about how this team is confident, but I don't know if it comes off of beating the Packers last season. It shows that you can do it. It is a mental hurdle that you had to get over. I think for the most part, it was the mental hurdle of finally winning one of those close games that you had lost every single one of up to that point. But Ben Johnson has this team in a completely different space right now, and I think that's where the confidence comes in. It goes back to there was a play this year. I want to say it was versus maybe the Bengals, where Caleb Williams literally, he said in the post-game press, he was like, I don't think this play is going to work. We'll see if it works. I'm going to run it. Whatever you say, coach. And he runs the play, and they score a touchdown. And he goes, okay, Ben knows what he's doing. I think those moments build your confidence in a coach and your trust in a coaching staff to be able to go out there and do things that sometimes it seems like you shouldn't be able to do. I know a lot of teams around the NFL look at Caleb and look at this Bears team and go, hey, you shouldn't be winning at this rate. You shouldn't be here yet. You shouldn't be figuring these things out. And yet the Bears continue to do it. I think that points directly back to what Ben Johnson is doing, how he's built this coaching staff overall. And I think it's why, for the first time in a long time, it doesn't feel like we have to go into Lambeau and go, yeah, maybe Love gives the football away and they fumble and we'll figure it out and the defense gets a stop. And if those things happen, we can have a close game. Now it feels like, no, we got weapons and we got an offensive line that is a problem and we've got a running game that's a problem. We got a head coach that's scheming his butt off. And credit to Matt LaFleur for everything that he can scheme, but we got a dude that can do that too now. And that means that we can come in this game and compete in a different manner.
Pat, awesome stuff, and congratulations. You upset some of our listeners, including one of our favorites, who we label Rutledge is galactically stupid. He says he's doing some great Chicago Bears radio in Wisconsin, Pat. Thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Appreciate you guys for having me on.